Section 2, Unit 7, Heat Treatment of Metals. Introduction, Heat Treatment, Controlled heating and cooling of metals to change characteristics, Hardness testing, Measuring results of heat treatment processes. Hardening, heat to critical temperature and quench. Direct hardening, need 0.3% carbon, harden throughout, and then surface hardening is need 0.3 carbon, and hardened outer surface, soft core. Case hardening is carbon added because steel has less than 0.3% carbon. Heat treating temperatures for some alloy steels. So SAE number 1330, you'd normalize at 16 to 1700 degrees. Or you would anneal at 1500 and 1600 degrees. You harden between 1525 and 1575 and you quench B, so the desired hardness. Surface hardening creates a hard outer surface while keeping the core softer and tougher. So you got the uniform case, the tough core, and the maximum hardness. Flame hardening passes a torch over the surface of the steel. Water is applied after the torch to quench the steel. And then that shows you an example of that. Introduction hardening of gear teeth. The glowing element heats teeth one at a time with electrical current. Note the water spray that quenches the teeth after hardening. Rolling, dipping, and pack methods are carburizing low carbon steels for case hardening. Reheating to lower than critical temperatures after hardening reduces brittleness and increases toughness. Annealing returns metals to pre-hardened condition, reheat to near critical temperature, and cool slowly. Normalizing, heat below critical temperature and cool slowly. Perform before hardening to relieve stress and improve results. Non-ferrous metal heat treatment. Aluminum solution heat treatment softens and makes more uniform structure. Precipitation hardening artificially ages and makes tougher and more durable. Heat treating furnaces. Furnaces heat metal to required temperature. Furnace types, box, production and specialty, atmospheric, many equipped and microprocessor controls. Heat treatment safety. Use proper PPE to prevent severe burns. Assume metal is too hot to touch. Completely submerge hot steel in quenching fluid to prevent fires. A dual chamber box furnace. The top unit can reach temperatures of 2200 degrees Fahrenheit and is used for hardening. The lower chamber can reach 1200 degrees Fahrenheit and used for tempering. This converter type furnace is used to heat treat springs. The springs are loaded on one end of the furnace and exit the other end after being heat treated. An atmospheric furnace can preheat, heat, and quench steel without any exposure to air to minimize oxidation. In addition to standard PPE such as safety glasses, wear a heat-resistant face shield, long sleeve, fire-resistant jacket, and fire-resistant gloves when performing heat treatment operations, and always use tongs to handle hot metal. Hardness scales and testing. Identify hardness of steels after heat treatment. Two common methods: Rockwell hardness scales and Brenner hardness scale. Both calculate hardness from depth and indentation. The basic principle of Rockwell hardness test, it shows the depth of indenter after minor load is applied, depth of indenter after major load is applied. Changed in depth between minor and major load determines the Rockwell hardness value. Some of the Rockwell hardness scales showing the penetrator and major load used and the materials those scales are used to measure. B, the Braille diamond and the 1/16 ball indenter. The major parts of an open loop and dead weight Rockwell hardness tester. So you got the small pointer, the large pointer, the plunger, the anvil, the elevating screw, and the elevating screw hand wheel. You got the trip lever and the crank handle. A closed loop tester uses the microprocessor controlled motor to force the penetrator into the sample. Wilson's Hardness Rockwell 2000 closed loop tester. Be sure the crank handle is in the forward position before beginning the hardness test. Installing an anvil and penetrator, here are the braille point that will be used for a C scale measurement. Check for or install proper weights. On the rear of the tester, all three weights equal to 150 kg. Measure load for C scale measurement. Adjusting the elevating screw to set the minor load. Set the small needle near the dot and the large needle at the vertical. And adjust the the dial face so that the 0 aligns with the large needle. Press the lever to trip the crank and apply the major load. Record the hardness reading after releasing the major load. The result of this test is 50 on the C scale. This can be written as Rockwell C50, RC50, or HRC50. The principle of the Brenel hardness scale and formula for determining the HP number: D is the ball diameter, DI is the impression of diameter, and F is the weight of the load applied. So your formula would be BHN equals F over pi divided by 2 times the diameter times diameter minus the square root of diameter squared minus DI squared. A Brenel microscope. The microscope is placed over the impression made by the test, and the scale in the viewfinder is used to measure the diameter of the impression. The scale is calibrated at 0.1 mm units over a range of 6 mm. The diameter of the microscope is 7 mm.